back to the channel. Shawn.
Kasia.
Today's topic is miscarriage awareness. It's for anybody who's pregnant right now, been pregnant before, had a miscarriage, know somebody that had a miscarriage. It's just to bring awareness to this topic because it get tough. It get tough. And coming from a couple who had a miscarriage, we know firsthand on how tough it got. So today we're gonna give y'all a story, different perspective, man perspective, woman perspective, and different ways we coped and we healed from the pain and the trauma that it brought us.
Okay, so we can start out with from the beginning, telling our story about our miscarriage. So I found out I was pregnant October 5th, 2021. I was in Target, happened to walk past the pregnancy test aisle and was like, take it. It was just something in my head that was like, take it. And I didn't have any pregnancy symptoms. I had not missed my period. It's just something like literally like God that just told me to take the test. So I went home and I took it and it was positive and I was shook. So I called him. He didn't answer. So at this point, I'm like panicking. So I'm like, I gotta call somebody. So I called my mama, I called my daddy, I called my best friend. I'm like, I gotta get this out because I was just, I don't know, I was in shock. I just couldn't believe I was pregnant. Then he called me back and then I told him and he was not surprised at all. He was like, oh, okay, yeah. I thought that was gonna happen, yeah. It's about the right time. I'm like, huh? But anyway, we were really excited. Yeah. From your perspective, that's kind of how it went too, or no?
Yeah, pretty much. I was in Chicago. It was a lot of craziness going on too at that time. Family was in trauma, accident, like a shooting. My mom, she was in hospital sick. So it was like, you know, everybody's energy was down for a second. And that news cheered everybody up, brought the families closer together, and we was all excited for it, most definitely.
Yeah. So he ended up graduating like that following week.
Oh, yeah.
So I had came to Arizona because at the time we wasn't living together. I was still living in Vegas. So I came down here and that's when we had announced it to his mom and really his siblings, his family. Like that's when we announced it to them. His mom was real excited. She was sick, so I was kind of nervous. Like I didn't know how she was gonna respond, but she jumped up. She was like, I knew it. Because weeks before, for her birthday when we went to Chicago, she was like, I had a dream you was pregnant. And at the time, we didn't know that I was pregnant. So I'm like, not me. But I just didn't know yet. So yeah, it was positive for everybody. It was nothing but positive responses. Everybody was happy, everybody was excited. And at that point, graduation, I was like 5 weeks. And then he ended up coming to Vegas so that we could go see the doctor and all that stuff. I had went to the doctor by myself too to confirm the pregnancy and everything, which they confirmed it. And then we ended up going and getting an ultrasound when I was supposed to be 9 weeks. So the baby heart was beating. We got to hear that. Everything seemed to be going as planned. Like we named the baby early. Yeah, I mean, we was starting to plan baby showers and look at places and just make plans as normal because we wasn't expecting anything to happen. I wasn't high risk or there wasn't anything going on that would have indicated that I was gonna miscarry. So yeah, it was a real shock when I was 10 weeks. And yeah, when I made 10 weeks, I started to spot a little bit. But actually, let me go back a little bit. After we had the ultrasound. I went and met with my OB, and she went over the ultrasound pictures, and she was like, everything looks good, but I'm gonna change your due date, which my due date was initially June 14th. She said, I'm gonna change your due date to June 25th, which was 11 days later. And I'm like, what? I was like confused, because since we didn't live together, I knew exactly when I had gotten pregnant. So that was kind of a red flag for me. Like, that doesn't seem right. It just didn't feel right. But I mean, there's nothing that I can do, because she's the doctor. So she's telling me that everything is fine, even though I felt in my heart that something wasn't right. But it wasn't nothing I could do. So that was a Thursday. That Tuesday, that following Tuesday, I started to spot. And it was just a little bit, like when I would wipe. And everybody kept saying, oh, that's normal, that's normal. That happens during early on in pregnancy, is normal. So I was like, okay. So the following day, which was Wednesday, I didn't really spot much. But then Thursday, I had a Wednesday going into Thursday, that night, I had a dream that I miscarried. So like, I woke up crying. I called Shawn. I'm like, I had a dream I miscarried. He was basically like, don't worry about that. Like, he didn't really, I don't know. I don't want to say he didn't take it serious, because I was having so many crazy dreams pregnant. I was calling him every day, like, oh, this happened in my dream, this happened in my dream. So it kind of probably to him was just like another dream that I had. But yeah, I had a dream that I miscarried, and I ended up texting my best friend and texting his mom. And when I texted his mom, that she called me. We sat on the phone for about an hour. And once I got off the phone with her, I started to cramp really, really bad. And when I went to the bathroom, I had passed a blood clot. So at that point, I'm like, oh, I need to go to the hospital right now, just in case. And I didn't have my car at the time, because it was in the shop still getting fixed. So I had took a lift to the hospital, which the hospital across the street from the house, but I wasn't in the position to walk to the hospital. So I got there. It was an hour wait in the lobby. I was just sitting out in the lobby with a cuff on my arm. It was terrible. Finally got to the back. It took a long time, but long story short, they did the ultrasound, and the doctor came in, and he was like, yeah, you're experiencing a miscarriage right now. He was really rude, and he said some stuff that really bothered me, and rubbed me the wrong way. But ultimately, he just was like, oh, you're having a miscarriage. And I was hysterical. My best friend was there, so I did have somebody with me. And I called Shawn. I barely could even talk. Like, I couldn't even like get the words out, because I was just so, I was in disbelief. Like, I couldn't possibly be miscarrying the baby I just saw last week. Literally, it was a week later. 10 weeks and 2 days, but the baby was only measuring at like 7-8 weeks. So we don't know why, or they didn't know why, or what had happened, but just that it happened. So yeah, call him, and he hopped on the road immediately. And then you could tell it from your perspective, and then we could come back together once we met with each other, like once we got together.
All right, just for the clarification, the graduation was a master's degree. A big master's degree in business, so a little smart, something like that. But yeah, life was great. Graduating my master's. OG was in the hospital, but she was doing way better, feeling good, in good spirits. Everybody was just doing better, and we felt good. Kasia bought me a pregnancy journal, like a dad journal, so I was able to journal the weeks on how I'm feeling, just keep track of it, how excited I was, names. We got on group FaceTime with my fam, and everybody guessed what size the baby was gonna be, how many pounds, if it's gonna be a boy or a girl. So it was just the main topic, and we was real excited. yeah, we went to the doctor's appointment. Everything was good. Everything was cool. I came back to Arizona. We was both going to Chicago Thanksgiving, so we had that trip planned. But yeah, go back to that day. Yeah, I was at flag. I had a flag football game, so I'm playing flag football with a couple of homies, my brother. It was yeah, you told me you was going to the hospital, blah blah blah. Like so I'm at the game. I'm checking my phone every time. Every between plays that I'm on the sideline, I'm checking my phone, make sure everything good. And then after the game ended, I got the news. They told me whatever was happening, whatever. So it's about 10 at night. Hop on the road. I come home, grab a little bag, clothes, then I hop on the road. I'm driving in the mountains. It's dark. I'm driving from Arizona to Vegas. It's dark. It's in the mountains. It's just different. I don't know. My mind racing. I'm processing everything, and I don't know. It hurt. I'm not gonna lie. Like the acceptance part. That's the first part of healing, is to accept. So just like, I know they tell me what happened, this and this and this, but that to swallow that pill like that, take that. So I'm driving on the road. It's like a 4.5 hour drive. I'm getting tired. I'm getting sleepy. It's dark. I can't see. I stop, pull over. I grab a Red Bull, sit at the gas station for a minute, kill out Red Bull, hop back on the road. I get there about 2, 3 in the morning. And yeah, the energy, like, it's not even, like, I don't know if this felt like hurt inside. Like, it wasn't physical. Like, I'm cool physical, everything good physical, but inside of me, I don't know, it hurt. It hurt so bad. It's like that motherfucker stabbing me, like big ass sword, like in there, twisting it, like one of them. And I don't know, we talked, we did what we could. That night we just chilled. The next day we talked to family, let them know. And that's another thing too, like just being able to put like the pride to the side, cause like it's cool when when it's you, alright, cool, but to talk about it, to find that perspective, even to get on here on this and to talk about
months and months later.
Yeah, so just to be able to put that into perspective and going back and feeling that and just, rewinding and going back through that. The biggest part though is to accept, what happened, and to know that everything happened for a reason. And at that time, couldn't understand it, couldn't see it, didn't give a fuck, to be honest. Like, just didn't really.
Jess was hurting, like.
Yeah, but.
Literally just in pain. Not that we wasn't open to healing, but that was the first step. Like, we just was in pain. Like, we just cried. We just later on, and I physically was in pain because I was actually physically passing the baby or whatever. But like emotionally being in pain and having to lean on each other because nobody else could feel what we felt because it was our baby. Like, although they hurt for us and they hurt with us, it wasn't the same for them as it was for us. So when the phone got hung up and the company went home, it was just us dealing with that pain together. So I know a lot of times situations like this could turn people against each other, or, you blame one person or something like that. It really brought us together because we had to really lean and depend on each other emotionally. And I feel like that was a pivotal point in our relationship in general, because we hadn't had anything that big happen to us or anything that we had to get over together like that as a couple. But back to what he said as far as acceptance, like really having to say, okay, the baby is gone. We have to still live our lives and be able to move on and not be stagnant and stuck in this pain. Where do we go from here? It's not, it's not gonna be what we thought it was gonna be. We're not gonna have this baby, and the things that we planned are not gonna happen as we planned it. And being able to wholeheartedly accept that that's what it was and figure out a way to move forward, it wasn't easy, but that's what we had to do.
Acceptance, a huge step.
That was like literally the first step.
The main step, like that's one of the, just to being able to accept, because it's easy to go into denial. It's easy to,
oh, we're gonna go back to the hospital to get a second opinion, or no, this can't be true.
You know, baby shower's still on. We still post. You know, you could, but just to live in your truth and to be authentic and to be real with your situation, and to know though, like although we was going through that, we knew that that wasn't the end. We knew that it didn't end now. We knew that it was preparing us for something bigger and better. But although we knew that, we still couldn't see it. So we could say that, we could talk, you know, but we still...
It just was faith.
Yeah, it's faith.
Having faith in God, knowing that God not going to put us through something that we can't handle. Knowing that God is not going to take something away from us for no reason, and there's not a bigger picture to it. Just because you can't see the picture doesn't mean it's not a bigger picture. So really having to lean into faith, that's really what kind of pushed us over the hump. And then we went back home for Thanksgiving the following week.
Mm-hmm. And it's easy to let that get in the middle of us and turn against each other into, you should have did this, or maybe you should have did that, or you could have did, you know, just really point the finger at one another, because that is not going to help, because at the end of the day, we both dealing with the same pain, same hurt, same trauma. So we could get through it together, but that's what the enemy really wants to get in between you. That's what the enemy want to do. The enemy want to get right here. But we put the enemy on the outside, and we stayed together, and we got through whatever we needed to get through at that time. And yes, family, we was able to lean on family and the support system. We had the flights to Chicago to go home for Thanksgiving. And the miscarriage would happen like a couple days before, maybe not even a whole week before our flight left. And we was debating, like, do we even want to go there to be around people, you know, the anxiety kicking in, just not feeling like yourself. But, you know, we already had our flights. The trip was already planned, and God had a plan that way for a reason. So just to be able to go home and to be around love, to be around family, friends, good vibes, it was able to, you know, help us raise our energy and our vibration. And that's when we realized that the experience that we have, the story that we have, it wasn't to hurt us. It was for us. It was for it to be inspiration, to be a living example, prime example of it gets better, and that you can get through anything that you're going through, and that tough times don't last, tough people do. So once we was able to switch to that perspective on, this is our story, this is, you know, this what happened, how can we use this to benefit us, of course, but to benefit, it's bigger than us. The world is bigger than us. So how do we help other people who are going through a similar situation, or been through a similar situation, or know somebody who going through something similar, understand that perspective? So it was a reality check for sure. It was definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a reality check.
So
it made us appreciate every little thing, really appreciate. Like, obviously we was happy that we was having a baby, and we was appreciative that we was having a baby, but I feel like it's little things that you take for granted. And it really just made us be in the moment and be thankful and grateful for everything. So I came to the point myself where I was like, although I had to find positive ways, well, both of us had to find positive ways to look at the miscarriage, because it didn't do us any good to look at it negatively. So I'm looking at it like, okay, we're proof that, like he said, it gets better or whatever. And at the same time, it brought us all closer. Our families, just the baby came at such a low point and brought so much joy that even when we lost the baby, I knew that it had to still be joy that came after that. It still had to be some positivity that came after that. The baby had a purpose in our lives, whether we were able to see the pregnancy through or not. So I was just grateful that I was even able to get pregnant, because for a long time I was like, I didn't really know if I could get pregnant or not. I was like, I really didn't think that I could, to be honest. So I just, looking back, I'm like, okay, well, I'm grateful that I was even able to get pregnant, because there's people out there that are having fertility problems where they can't even get pregnant. They just wish they could get pregnant. They just wish they could get 2 positive lines on a pregnancy test. So I had to be grateful for the little things. Although I didn't have my baby, what is it that I could be grateful for within that experience? And I feel like that's kind of what led us into our next pregnancy.
One thing too that you said that was a perspective that I was able to heal with is that the baby fulfilled its purpose on earth. It didn't even touch earth, but the baby fulfilled its purpose. The baby brought families closer together. You were able to communicate with my people, my mom, dad, step parents, and vice versa. You know, we was able to talk and just bond over a baby that wasn't even here yet. But you know, that set the foundation. It laid it down. So now we, like you said, now we on baby 6 months, about to, 3 more months, and we'll be having a son. So we're grateful. And then it brought you so low that the only way to get out is to be grateful. To be grateful for every moment, every day, every doctor's appointment, every ultrasound, everything, just waking up, breathing, just every day is not taking anything for granted, because you don't have to have it in the same way you got it that fast. It could be gone the next second. So that's one thing I learned for sure.
And I think it's sad that things like that have to happen for you to appreciate, but those are the things that put stuff into perspective for you. Like grieving and trauma, that put everything in perspective. You really have to take a step back, because it's easy to drown in depression. It's easy to drown in anxiety. It's a two-way street. You in the middle. Which way you gonna go? Are you gonna look at it in a positive light, or are you gonna let it drown you? So yeah, after the miscarriage and stuff, we was like, yeah, we ain't leaving each other's side.
It's power in pain. Pain is power. Pain is your power. We was able to turn it into power. Be closer together. We ended up taking a trip in January to Mexico for my birthday, which we dropped last week. And that was like, it was another breath, like just to get outside, just to be free, although we wanted the child, we was like, well, we don't got a baby, we can get drunk now, we got fun, we can kick it now, and
we were going to Mexico regardless. I was just gonna be pregnant in Mexico.
Right, but you was able to drink in Mexico.
I was pregnant in Mexico. I just didn't know yet.
Right.
So,
Okay,
but that's kind of a story for another day.
Let us hear it. Now, we're just excited for this pregnancy. God put us through a storm, but he knew that we could handle it. God gave us toughest battles to the strongest soldiers. And shout out to all the support. Shout out to the people that called us, that texted us, that checked on us, that prayed for us, that sent love. We really appreciate that.
It meant a lot.
It definitely did. Reading
that when you feeling low.
Mm-hmm. Even your best friend, she got us to...
Oh yeah, when we came, we had to go pick up some medicine the morning after, because I was in so much pain. And when we came back, she had bought us a heartbeat teddy bear. Like, man, when I say that girl was on it, like, I don't even know how she was able to do that fast. She had got us a bear with our baby heartbeat in it, and like a card, and she wrote both of us our own separate message. And we had little bath kits where we could take a bath and just relax and unwind and kind of, you tense, you hurt, you in pain, you need something to relax. And that was, yeah.
Shout out to the support and the love. We appreciate it all.
Even your mom bought us the keychains and bought me a bracelet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just a lot of support. So even when we didn't have the energy ourselves, the energy was pouring in from our family and from our friends. So we definitely appreciate that because it kept us going.
Mm-hmm. And to anybody battling the situation, battling depression, battling whatever you battling,
it don't even necessarily just have to be miscarriage. It could be loss, period.
Mm-hmm. Keep God first. Talk to God. That's the key. Like, for real, just start to build that relationship with God and just lean on Him. Anything, because you're not going through nothing that nobody hasn't already done. We're not the first person to have a miscarriage, and we're not going to be the last people to have a miscarriage. But as long as you keep God in the center, all things are possible. Kasia and Shawn for you. Peace. Cool. I'm not sure how to stop it. You can stop it though. But yeah.
You be pressing every